let's use your side. Arsenal as a yardstick. All right, so Arsenal finished second. They got Champions League football.
Yep.
We know that Liverpool have had a better season than Arsenal. That's a fact. You can't argue with that. Some people, no, in fact, you couldn't argue. Newcastle have had a better season. Also got Champions League football, won a trophy.
Yep, I'll go along with that.
Another team that have got Champions League football and got a trophy, Spurs.
Yeah,
So
but they've not had a better season.
you could argue.
Yeah, you could.
That's what I'm saying. You could argue.
But if you
could argue. I'm just saying you could argue.
My point is, if you're a smart football fan, 17th in the table, fourth bottom is not a better season.
Could you argue that?
You could argue about
that's what I'm saying.
You could argue about the success.
You could argue
because they have been more successful.
You could argue about a better season.
It's not better, no.
You could argue it.
Okay, but you haven't.
No, but Spurs fans could argue.
Yeah, but they'd argue anything.
Okay, but they could. If Chelsea win tonight, have they had a better season than Arsenal?
Again, more successful. They've obviously got Champions League football, but they've also brought home a trophy. But do you know what? That's a better argument because they're in the Champions League on merit in terms of their league football.
Oh, Spurs are in there in merit.
No, I haven't finished yet.
Right.
But they're there in terms of earning over 38 games, and they've also added the trophy as well.
There's various ways you can get Champions League football.
No, it's not. There's no way a team finishes 17th and a better team that finished second.
No, I'm saying you can't say they've earned it. Spurs have earned it.
Okay, I'm not saying they haven't earned it because they beat whoever they had to beat in the Europa League Conference final.
So they've earned it.
Okay, but then to say that there's an argument they've had a better season, they haven't had a better season. They've been more successful because they've won the Europa League. But 17th, fourth bottom is not a better season.
Okay, so here's the thing, right? When you say season, what you're doing is looking at the season and looking at one competition.
Well, no,
I look at all four.
That's a collective.
Yeah,
exactly.
So collectively, Spurs have had a better season.
No, they haven't, because that's you talk about one competition. That's it. But the bread and butter, which how
far did you get in the FA Cup
every single
and League
person,
Cup?
You lot knocked certain pens, didn't you?
All right.
And we got to the semi-finals of the League Cup.
All right. Well, we need to find out Spurs.
And semi-finals of the Champions League.
Okay.
And finished second.
Well, so you did better than them in the league.
Yep.
They did better than you in Europe.
Yep.
So it's 1-1 at the moment.
And then we got further than them in the
FA Cup. You didn't.
In the League Cup.
In the FA Cup, you didn't.
The League Cup.
Right.
And the Champions League.
So to say you had the same season
Andy,
as Spurs.
you're talking nonsense. You know full well they haven't. So they've had
all jokes aside.
They've had hold on. They've had a more successful season. I'll hold my hands up. Yes, fair play to Tottenham. They did what they had to do. But you cannot sit here and say that they've had a very good season when you finish fourth bottom. I don't know that they haven't.
You're looking at one competition.
Fourth bottom.
I think that is so blinkered.
It's not blinkered.
It's 4 comps.
No. What's the bread and butter? What is the number one?
Everyone uses the term bread and butter.
Okay, so if everyone uses it, what does that tell you?
Yeah, but Everton's bread and butter is different to Liverpool's.
It's not. It's not.
Well, it is though, Benny.
It's not. You're talking nonsense there, Andy.
No, it is.
You're trying to justify.
Someone's come up with the term bread and butter. I don't know why. Right?
It's true.
But it's not, because if you're saying the league's your bread and butter, but let's say Everton won the FA Cup and the League Cup, and were 17th, right? Yes, bread and butter they haven't done, but they're still an unbelievable season.
Yeah, because that's 2 trophies. You're talking about 1 trophy and the team that finished fourth bottom.
Yeah, but every year you're going for 4. Every year you're going for 4. You're shaking your head at that fact. That's the truth.
Because as a collective, you can't finish fourth bottom and think you have a better season than that team that finishes second.
I'm not saying Spurs. I'm not necessarily saying Spurs have had a better season. I'm saying worse ways. You've had the same season.
No, we haven't had the same season. Don't be daft. Same season.
I don't get where your argument can come from.
Because you're talking about one trophy.
You've both got Champions League football. They've won in Europe. You haven't.
17th.
Yeah, no, but in the league you were better.
And also as well, it's a lesser competition, so that's almost irrelevant because.
Mate, it's the second biggest. You can't.
Okay, but is second biggest the biggest? Yes or no?
No, but you didn't win the biggest.
No, answer that. Oh, well, there you go.
But you didn't win the biggest.
No, but that's my point. But it's a tougher opposition.
If you didn't win it,
it's a harder competition. So you can't base that as a fair argument.
But there's 4 comps you're going for. They won 1.
Okay,
you won none.
My point is, it's harder to. Is it harder to win the Champions League?
Of course it is.
Well, there you go.
You didn't win it.
But you can't.
You didn't win it.
It's like someone winning the Golden Boot in the Europa and winning the Golden Boot in the Champions League.
Yeah, but you didn't win it.
Yeah, but my point is,
if Chelsea win tonight, who's had a better season?
Yeah, my point is,
answer that.
My point being,
if Chelsea win tonight, who's had a better season?
Listen, my point being,
yeah,
Spurs have had a good season because in Europa League terms, it has been absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
If their season has been as good as everyone's making it out to be, why do they want the manager gone?
Because in one competition it was awful.
Well, it's a collective, and but the 17th in the Premier League is not good enough. Nowhere near good enough.
I didn't say it was. Who's had a better season if Chelsea win tonight?
Chelsea win a trophy and they're in the Champions League and they finish fourth. Chelsea finished fourth. I mean, that's a better argument.
Who's had a better season?
Because Chelsea have won a trophy and they're in
the answer?
And they're in the Champions League.
What's the answer?
I'd probably say that's a better argument. I'd probably go Chelsea just potentially.
Chelsea have had a better season than last season tonight.
But Tottenham.
Okay, who's had a better season? Newcastle or Arsenal?
Newcastle 5th League Cup. Successful, yeah. Better.
No, who's better?
Better, I'm not sure. Successful,
Why?
yes.
Why are you not sure?
Because I think there's genuine arguments between...
I think if you win a trophy, you both got Champions League football, if you win a trophy, you're better.
No, you're not. It doesn't matter. It's not just about winning a trophy.
Okay, would you swap 5th and League Cup for 2nd and nothing?
5th and League? Yeah, of course I would now.
Oh, so Newcastle have had better?
I'm desperate.
Newcastle have had a better season.
But success is defined by trophies, right? So successful, Chelsea, Spurs, if Chelsea win tonight, of course, Liverpool, Newcastle have had more successful seasons than Arsenal. I'm not arguing that fact.
Yeah.
But they've not had, like, Liverpool, yes. Tottenham, no, have not had a better season than Arsenal.
Here's my question to you, right? Here's my question.
No, but you're not answering mine. You
haven't asked me a question.
Okay, do you think Tottenham have had a better season than Arsenal?
Yeah.
I mean, that's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
Because I'll tell you what, because you're looking at the season just as the Premier League.
So you think it's acceptable? You think a team that's won...
No, I'm not using the word acceptable.
No, but
I'm not using the word acceptable.
A team that's lost 22 games in the league...
In one competition.
Right, which is the biggest competition, by the way.
Yeah.
Against a team that's lost 4.
Yeah.
Has had a better season.
In the league, you're better than them.
No, but you're trying to tell me that there warrants them having a better season.
No, in the league, you're better than them.
No, ridiculous, Andy.
Well, when you set out at the beginning of the season, what's your aim?
To win trophies.
Who did that? You or Spurs?
I get that, but it still doesn't mean... Like, okay, Palace won a 12th.
Yeah.
Better season than Arsenal.
No, because they didn't get Champions League football.
No, but if they've won a trophy...
I know.
You're putting it down to just simply...
No, I'm comparing... No, I'm not. I'm comparing Spurs and your team.
Yeah, and Spurs have not had a better season. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, but you both got Champions League football and Spurs...
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how
okay, do the 3 other competitions count for anything?
Of course they do. But when you finish 4th bottom, your argument is redundant.
I don't think it is, because in one competition they were dog.
It is.
In one competition...
There wouldn't be all this kind of animosity towards Ange if everyone said it was a fantastic season.
No, because in the league it was dog.
But that's your bread and butter. Exactly.
No, I don't know who's come up with the term bread and butter.
So that should tell you all you need to know. If people are saying that he should be sacked with his league form, that tells you where they view that.
But when you use the term bread and butter, right, Fulham are never going to win the Premier League in our lifetime.
We never know.
Okay.
Leicester did it.
In the next 5 years, I doubt Fulham will.
Okay, maybe, but it's not a never.
Okay. In the next 5 years, Fulham won't.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't say to Fulham that's their bread and butter.
Because expectations are different.
Yeah, but Spurs aren't going to win the league.
No, but their expectations to get into the top 4 in the league.
No. Not expectations for top 4 for Champions League football. Yeah, and that's what Tottenham have done.
Yeah, no, because then there wouldn't be no argument about sacking Ange. If they were happy with the route they took to get the Champions League, every Spurs fan would go, are you crazy? We can't sack him.
No, because what Spurs want to do is they want to go for it on all fronts, not just one.
No, my point is, if they were solely happy with getting Champions League football with the Europa, there would be not one little murmur of Ange going.
Okay, I'll tell you what we do, right? This is what we're going to do. We're going to write Arsenal, right? We're going to write Spurs, right? Newcastle, okay? And we're going to write Chelsea. If Chelsea win, let's take Chelsea have won for this argument.
But there's genuine arguments for Newcastle and Chelsea because they have finished in the top 5 and won a trophy.
Okay, this argument will only contain Chelsea as winners tonight, because if it doesn't, it breaks down, right? List 1 to 4 who's had the best season. Okay, Chelsea, Spurs, Newcastle, and Arsenal.
I'll do it in the break.
No, do it now.
No, do it in the break.
No, we're going to the break with it.
No, do it
so
now.
People can phone up and react to it.
Think about it.
No, you can do it now.
I think about it.
No, but then people can't react to it.
Well, I'm thinking about it. Right.
Well, okay, who's won?
I'm thinking about it, I said.
Okay, who's 4? Give me who's 4. You can do that. Who's had the worst season out of the 4?
I said I'll do it in the break. Come on.
See, that's what he's like. Right. We've got him.
talkSPORT Drive with Andy Goldstein. Monday to Friday afternoon from 4 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.